this is a weird situation. Ex-NFL wide receiver Steve Smith apparently was smashing another guy's wife, and
Yeah.
in a video that has gone viral on the internet, the guy called Steve Smith to confront him about the fact that Steve Smith was smashing his wife. A lot of people have opinions on this, of course. Among them are the members of the Nightcap Show, which includes Shannon Sharp and Chad Ochocinco, who are expressing how they feel about the person, the guy, whose wife was whose wife was being, handled, so to speak, by Steve Smith. And essentially, what Shannon Sharp and Chad are saying is the responsibility is between you and the cheater, who is your wife, and not Steve Smith, who owes you no loyalty because you're not married to him. That's essentially the sentiment. So this says Shannon Sharp and Chad Johnson offer a complicated take on ex-NFL players' sex scandal. Based on Shannon Sharp and Chad Johnson's logic, do you agree with what they are saying about Steve Smith Sr.'s cheating scandal? Both Shannon Sharp and Chad Ochocinco Johnson have offered their 2 cents on the viral infidelity scandal their fellow former NFL peer Steve Smith Sr. is currently wrapped up in. Smith Sr. is making headlines for all the wrong reasons after being confronted by a furious husband accusing him of sleeping with his wife. The viral video of the tense phone call in which Smith can be heard apologizing after being called out has sparked heated debates across sports media. Now, Sharp and Johnson have added their voices to the conversation via the latest episode of their Nightcap Show podcast, during which they offered a semi-controversial analysis of how the scandal should have been handled. Chad Johnson didn't mince words when addressing the situation, emphasizing that the blame should fall on the wife, not Smith. So I'm going to skip through all of this because we actually have a clip of this. Sharp backed up his co-host, reiterating that Smith wasn't the one who made any vows. So there's one part of this that isn't in the video that I did want to read. So here it is. According to a report from the New York Post, a man named Tony Martinez accused Smith Sr. of having sex with his wife, who he alleges is a member of the Baltimore Ravens marching band. Martinez apparently made the discovery upon finding messages purportedly sent from Smith Sr. to his wife. Smitty, my guy, Sharp said, I've known Smitty for 20 years. He was just at my party at the Super Bowl. He had a great conversation with him. So that's Shannon Sharp saying that he knows the guy. But we'll go ahead and get rid of this. And we will share this piece. All right, so here is Chad and Shannon Sharp saying that in the case of the guy who's being cheated on by his wife, you take that up with the wife because you don't take that up with Steve Smith.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you've been my wife, bro. What you gotta say for yourself?
I'm sorry.
You're sorry?
Well, listen. He said he's sorry. He said he's sorry, Unc. Now listen, this is what you don't do. This is as a man, understanding, that's my wife, girlfriend, someone you're seeing, someone you're talking to. You never confront the individual because Steve Smith Sr. owes you no loyalty.
Steve Smith ain't married to you, bro.
She's not married. Steve is not married to you. You talk to your wife. You check your wife, and that goes for any and everybody. I know a lot of people, you want to crash out about your woman and all this stuff, man.
Or your man.
Or your man. Listen, it goes both ways. It always comes down to me again. Understand who you're marrying. Understand human nature. Human nature is undefeated. I'm gonna say that as well. I don't care how people come off. I don't care how innocent they may seem. I don't care how much they tell you they love you. When certain opportunities present themselves, they gonna go. when certain opportunities with certain individuals that are convenient and they feel they can get away with it, they're going to go. I don't care how much love there is. I don't care how much money you got. It doesn't matter. Understand who you're dealing with and move accordingly. I mean, I say it all the time. I say it all the time. Listen, had a family, kids, husband, he doing everything, he's doing this, and you upset. There's no reason to call Steve. That's not doing nothing. You take that up with the wife, you take that up with the missus.
Well, I think the thing is what the gentleman was doing is that, like, okay, if I'm gonna get a divorce, I'm gonna try to mess your home up also. That's what this was about. I ain't answering.
Hey,
First of all, that ain't my MO. That's not me. You married? Oh, this ain't nothing. It's something. You know what? Hey, no, don't just keep it a buck with me. You married, and I'm a firm believer in this. A man might not want his wife, but the moment another man shows interest, all of a sudden it gets rekindled. And like you just said at the top, people will crash out about certain situations. That crime of passion, and juries are very sympathetic. They're very sympathetic in situations like this. Crime of passion. Leave it alone, guys.
Leave it alone, guys. All right. So, what do you make of this particular situation? Do you agree with what those two guys had to say?
I mean, I gotta be honest here, man. I agree with those guys. Shay and Chad Ocho with those neon white veneers. They made great points, and especially with Chad. You know, you gotta know who you're marrying. You gotta know who you're dating. You gotta know who you're dealing with. There was a guy that we played basketball with back at PSN, bro. Old school, man. You remember old school, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think this was old school that said this. But we was out there hooping. I don't know if you was out there at the time, or if you was off the college. But we was out there playing, man, and it was this like argument or whatever, and somebody made a pass. It was a little too hot for whoever. I think it was Rob. I think you could handle it. Fumbled it out of bounds. And then you know what I'm saying? He was like, hey man, you gotta know your personnel. And that stuck with me, man. And from there on out, because it was something that I kind of knew, but from that point, it really was etched in my brain that you got to know who you're dealing with. And if this is at work, this is anywhere in life, you got to know who you're dealing with to know how to handle them. And so whatever they do, what they do, because they're going to do that because you know who they are, then you have to, from there, manage how you're going to deal with that situation when the inevitable happens. So if this is basketball or football, let's stick to basketball. If you're playing basketball and the person that you're giving the ball to, they got butterfingers. It's like 60% of the time they'll catch it. But if the pass is a little too hot, it might fumble out of bounds. They catch some of them, you know what I'm saying? But they might also lose it. So if it's a situation where the game is tight and you throw a hot pass that this person over here would catch all the time, you know what I'm saying? You can comfortably throw it to that person. But if it's the guy that got the butterfingers and you give it to him, he's been catching it all game, but the game's hot. And now he misses it. That's your fault. That's not his fault. He's got butterfingers and you knew that. So you have to know your personnel before you give up the ball, period. So if you're in a situation with a woman that, you're married to this woman or in a relationship with this woman, and she's got 304 tendencies, you knew how you met her, you knew what she did, you know what I'm saying? You knew how things go. She told you some personal stories in her past, but she's changed now. All of that stuff. This is who this person is. And at any given point, this person can show themselves to you. So I find it very hard to believe that this Tony Martinez didn't know that his wife has some 304 tendencies. All right. So I say that to say this: in a situation, he needs to know his personnel, much like what Chad was saying. You have to know who you're marrying. And if you didn't know who you're marrying, you didn't vet well. So if you did your vetting, you said, I know this person, this is within their wheelhouse. Are you okay with that? Yes or no? Check the yes, I acknowledge box. If you check the acknowledge box, when it inevitably happens, you have to be able to take that. And if you're okay with that, then, not okay with it, but if you can handle it and tolerate it, then whatever. If you're not trying to, but if you couldn't take it, then you're sitting there recording stuff live, going crazy on Twitter. You know what I'm saying? You're talking about you got receipts and stuff like that, calling the man that did it. You doing all that stuff because you couldn't handle it. So for me, this Tony Martinez guy, he's the loser in a lot of ways in this situation. Steve Smith, he's got to take this up with his wife and his family. I didn't know he had such a big family. He's got a lot of kids with the same woman. They've been together for a long time. I don't know if she knows how he gets down. I don't know if she knows he got a little Neo in him. That's definitely going to be some reconciliation going on over there. So, but if you saw those text messages, bro, Steve was definitely about that life. I don't think that this woman is the only one. The way he was talking, it seems like, bro, get down. Whenever he leave the house, he get down. And so Steve's gonna have to deal with that at his house. But this woman here, the alleged woman here that Steve was getting down with, it's not that I don't want to blame her, but I can't blame a squirrel for being a squirrel. And when they're doing squirrely things, what am I supposed to do? Get upset? I can't domesticate the squirrel, So she did what they do, 304s. And if you saw her messages, man, she about that life. And I find it hard to believe he didn't know that was in his woman. Double texting, triple texting, saying what she'll do to the man. It was egregious. So all in all, man, I feel like this Tony Martinez guy, even though he tried to, step to Steve Smith and try to expose him, all this stuff, he's looking like and sounding like the true cuck here. But what are your thoughts, man, on this whole situation with Steve Smith sending these wild text messages to this lady? Steve Smith's situation himself with his family, what Chad Ocho and them had to say. What are your thoughts, bro?
Yeah, I largely agree with most of that. I think this guy is probably going to take this chick back. So, if he was really holding her responsible for the infidelity, then he would probably, let me rephrase that. I don't believe he's holding her ultimately responsible because he's choosing to take things up with Smith. And because I don't believe he is holding her ultimately responsible, I'm also inclined to believe that he wants to stay with her. Because if he held her ultimately responsible, and if he truly felt violated by her, then I feel like the relationship would proceed to dissolve. I don't think he's holding her ultimately responsible. I think he holds Steve Smith responsible, which tells me he wants to stay with her and he'll probably take her back, despite the fact that she's the one who's in the wrong. And in saying that, I agree with Chad and Shannon in that he's the one who looks like the biggest loser in this situation because Steve Smith owed you no loyalty. He didn't marry you. She did. And I'm also inclined to agree with you that she exhibited characteristics which suggested she would do something like this long before this happened, and you stayed around hoping that your eyes were deceiving you.
Exactly.
And of course, your eyes don't deceive you because people are going to do what they do, as Chad said. So you have two options, Mr. Martinez. Stay with her or leave her. And I believe that he is going to stay with her because I don't think he's holding her responsible. Hard to leave something when you don't blame them for something. And I don't think he blames her. I think he blames Steve Smith.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. But that's new human behavior nowadays. You marry a trick, and when the trick tricks, you go and get mad at the person she tricked with instead of getting mad at the trick. That's what we got going on. A lot of people are in these weird, superficial, hollow relationships that are not built on anything foundationally sound.
Mm-hmm.
And when shart hits the fan, they don't look at what's ultimately responsible because they want to stay in that. I'm gonna tell you this, bro. I don't know this dude, but just kind of reading the tea leaves, I would imagine whoever this guy is, this is probably the best looking chick he's ever been with.
Yeah.
She's probably his peak. He probably feels as though he can't do better than her. When you feel like you can't do better than her, you are willing to devalue your own morals and ethics to stay in something because you don't want to go down. And he's probably looking at the landscape of the situation saying, if I'm not with her anymore, there's a chance I'm going to be with somebody that I view as a downgrade. So he probably looks at himself with not enough self-worth, not enough self-esteem. He probably internalizes his own self-worth as being a loser who can't do better than her. Because if you felt like you could do better than her, why would you blame someone else for something she's responsible for? You're doing that because you're trying to rationalize reasons to stay in it.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll grab at whatever straw you can because you actually want to still be with her. I would never, first of all, my vetting process, I'm never going to get with a chick.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm never going to marry somebody who's for the streets. It's ridiculous.
Right.
So
Right.
very much like, what's his face? Tyrese. I hold him
Mhm.
responsible for the situation he finds himself in with that whole custody dispute that he got going on with his ex-wife. That's your fault, bro.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't vet that situation properly enough to know, probably against my best advisement, to marry her. So that's on you. The man is the gatekeeper for marriage, not the woman. She didn't propose to you, bro. You proposed to her.
Yeah, he was the way he sounded on that phone. He was all about it.
Yeah. So I feel as though he wants to stay with her. And because he's not holding, and the reason why I feel as though he wants to stay with her is because I don't get the impression that he's holding her responsible. What are you hitting up Smith for? That's like you said, that's for him and his woman to sort out and his family.
Right.
But that's independent of the fact that you were betrayed by this woman, not him, not Steve Smith. You ain't marry him. And another thing that I'll say, and this is the last thing that I'll say, who would have known that in addition to the Instagram models and the sex workers and the strippers and the adult film actresses, that we can now and cheerleaders, right? And all of these women, the typical women that are the subjects of cheating scandals, bartenders, flight attendants, waitresses, right? Now we can add the members of the marching band to that list. Who would have known? Who would have known that now these high profile guys are even smashing the women who are members of the marching band? Who would have thunk it? But then again, these days, why should I be surprised about anything?
Hey, man, you remember the girls from band, bruh, and JRTC, bruh. You know what I'm saying? They was living alternative lifestyles over there in those groups, bruh. So from what I what I heard, man, people in the band get a little neo. You know what I'm saying? But you know what I'm saying? If y'all do yourselves, I guess, a disservice and read those text messages that these two was having, Steve Smith and this lady. I mean, it was next level, man. Real Neo-ish. And I gotta tell you, man, if that woman, which I think she is, that woman, if she's anything like she was in those text messages, I can see why Tony Martinez, you know what I'm saying, is head over heels for this woman. You know what I'm saying? Because she lets him go scrotum deep. And he and that's why he can't let it go. You know what I'm saying? And again, his voice, bro, on the phone, bro. Hey, Steve, come on, man. That's my wife. You knew she was married, man. It's like, bro, you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying, bro. He just sounded, you know what I'm saying, real pedestrian. So, it sounds like that's the best he can get. She knocked his socks off with the squirt game, and
Yeah.
and he couldn't,
Yeah.
he lost his mind.
He lost his mind. Exactly. He
Yeah,
lost his mind. She probably is the best looking chick he's ever been with. He probably enjoys sex with her better than any
yeah,
like it's probably all of that. And so he
yeah.
just can't fathom a reality where he gives
Come
that
on,
up.
bro. Come on, bro.
Even if she's running roughshod on him.
Come on, bro. When they active like that, bro, I'm telling you right now, man. When they active like that, they can't not share that. You know what I'm saying? When they got those skills like that, they didn't just learn that to just spend it on you. I say that. You know what I'm saying? Those girls got to take that for a spin. They just love the game. And so yeah, bro, that's what I'm saying. You got to know your personnel. You should have found that out in the vetting process. So yeah, man. Yeah, he's looking like the whatever that he is, but something tells me we're not hitting the end of this. We're not going to hit the end of this. I think this Tony Martinez guy is really going to play this up. I think he wanted to go viral. I think he wants this. He's going to appear on somebody's podcast. He's going to do stuff. He's going to try to make a lifestyle out of this, I think, low key. You know what I'm saying? Get a little 10 seconds of fame. Because right now he's going super viral.
Well, hopefully he can parlay it into getting some more confidence in himself. Hopefully, because there's no point in any of that if he's just gonna go right back to her. So, hey, listen, bro. As for any other guys out there, you think you've hit your apex, right? You think that you've peaked. I can't get a girl better than this, so you're willing to let certain things slide. That you otherwise are uncomfortable with because you don't want to let her go. You don't want to let go of her looks, her body, her box. You just need to hold on to it because it's the best she ever had. Being a true and utter slave to vagina. Look, man, whether you realize it or not, there's way more of it out there than you than you know, and it's far more easier to attain that than you think. Just because this is the first time that you've had it doesn't mean you can't get it again. So just remember that whenever one of these tricks, runs up on you and tries to run over you, let it go because there's way more out there where that came from.
1,000, man. And you know what I'm saying? Charge it to the game, bro. If it did get by you, you know what I'm saying? You're an A1 goalie, bro. You don't let nothing get past you. But if something got past you, bro, charge it to the game, bro. Don't be out here on the phone, on Twitter, calling people, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Charge it to the game, take it on the chin, bro, and regroup and regenerate. But don't take the Tony Martinez route,
Uh,
bro.
yeah, I mean, like I've said before, man, I love women and sex just as much as the next guy. But there's a difference between appreciating it and being a slave to it. And sex has really weakened men's position in society.
Oh, yeah, agree.
It really has. And I know that to a certain extent, historically, men have always been slaves to vagina, but it's far more pronounced now than it ever has been. And I really do feel like sex has weakened men's position in society.
100%.
And I can only hope that it hasn't gone. I can only hope that it hasn't jumped the shark, that it hasn't ascended to levels that are so far beyond the pale that there's no turning back. Because right now, bro, these guys are out here dying about vagina. They're over here. They're dying over women. They're fighting over women. They're just weakening themselves in their position in the world over women and women who don't deserve it. So, and of course, this is speculation, but I've seen this kind of stuff before.
Mhm.
If this guy is butthurt and he is blaming Steve Smith, I believe because he wants to still be with her. So easier to blame someone who's not responsible when you want to stay with the person who is responsible.
Yeah, and if you try, and again, if you got enough player in you, man, You know what I'm saying? You charge it to the game, bro. You know what I'm saying? And bruh, and Steve Smith, whether he's married or not, he's part of the game. And this woman that you married and thought that was just only for you, apparently she's part of the game. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is, man. Wipe your hands clean of that and move on, bro. But you cannot sit around here and be getting mad at stuff like that. So like Shannon said, man, yeah, people really crash out about this. And so you don't know who you running up on. So if you see some crazy stuff up in somebody's phone, bro, nobody's telling you to go accost anybody. Just stay your ass at home, bro. Don't call, don't text, don't do none of that stuff. Leave that for the females, man.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
It's something else, man. You know, when you feel like you done had the best you ever had and she the best looking, and man, we let so much stuff slide. We let way too much slide that we shouldn't slide. Um, you know, so I got a lot of lashes for this guy. I think he looks like an idiot.
Unbelievable.
And yeah, as far as I'm concerned, Steve Smith just went Steve Smith.
Exactly. I think his
So
old lady knows.
yeah,
It's
it's whatever with him. But this guy calling him up like that, Steve Smith probably answered the phone because he doesn't even care.
Yeah.
You know, he just answered. He talked to the guy like, whatever, sorry, bro, because he don't give a damn. So I don't know.
Yeah, and if I was Steve Smith talking to my old lady, I'd be like, no, I didn't say I was sorry. I was like, I'm sorry. Like, what are you talking about? What? I didn't even hear it. That's why I hung up. It was like muffled or some shit.
Yeah. What are you gonna do, man? It's tough
Hey,
out there.
hey, man, shout out to somebody on that topic, bro.
I don't got nobody. Yeah, I was just gonna end it,
man.
Yeah, I was gonna end it because I got nobody to shout out there. I don't.
Hey, shout out to the viewers, man.
Yeah.
Make sure you leave some like and some comments on this video. Skirt.